So as always, I am going to section this review with three prongs. Hi guys, and welcome to my review of The Song of Achilles. So people who are sub to my channel when it comes to books probably sub because I read and review danmei novels. So you may be wondering, why is there a Western novel here? So some of you probably know that I really like BL novels that are sort of like period historical pieces and have some fantasy elements. And I've been looking for the longest time for a BL novel that's Western that has these elements within it, and then I was reminded about The Song of Achilles. So yes, there is a BL romance within this novel, but it is so much more than that. Also, you may be wondering why I'm standing. I don't know, I just thought I'd try it. Also, I don't know if you can see it, but my lipstick is like bigger than my lips. That wasn't on purpose, it's because it's smudged. I ain't a makeup YouTuber, so who are we kidding? Also, you can see the fucking clip in my hair. Again, not intentional, it's just my wig isn't going right. So, disclaimer, I was going to make this just a complete 100% spoiler review of the book because I'm pretty sure everyone in the West has already read this by now. I also know that people who watch my videos primarily read Chinese web novels when it comes to BL or danmei. So maybe you haven't read this. So primarily, this is non-spoiler, but there will be just like little bits, just like little sections where I do say spoilers, but I will give a spoiler warning for those. The Song of Achilles. Okay, let me read the synopsis, the plot summary for you lads. Greece in the Age of Heroes. Awkward young Prince Patroclus has been exiled to the court of King Peleus. Despite their differences, Peleus's golden boy Achilles befriends the shamed prince. As they grow into young men, their bond blossoms into something deeper, despite the displeasure of Achilles' mother, the sea goddess Thetis. But when word comes that Helen of Sparta has been kidnapped, Achilles must go to war in distant Troy and fulfill his destiny. Torn between love and fear for his friend, Patroclus goes with him. This is a novel by Madeline Miller, and it follows the legend of Achilles through the eyes of his closest companion. Now, I'm not sure if this is a spoiler. To be fair, I didn't know this about the story, so I guess it is a spoiler. Spoiler warning! There is a romance within this book. That romance is between Patroclus and Achilles. Now, in legend, it's written that Patroclus was Achilles' closest friend. But luckily, Miller knew as soon as she heard this story as a child that it was a romance. And throughout her life, she wished that somebody could write this story for what it was. And as she grew up, she realised she could write this story. And that is character development. The name is also quite clever, which, excuse me while I nerd out a minute, I think this is probably fairly obvious to everyone, but, you know, let's draw light to it because it's clever. So the story is taken from the Iliad. The Iliad is kind of like a long poem detailing the war between the Trojans and the Greeks. But what's clever is that the poem is sometimes referred to as the Song of Ilion. But because we just follow Achilles' story, Miller changed the name to The Song of Achilles. Like, I'm just saying, I don't know, I find that pretty clever. It's a very clever touch. It's like, you know, yeah. My days as an analyst are numbered. So, as always, I'm going to section this review with 3 pros and 3 cons. I don't know how I'll edit it. I might edit it so it's like a con and then a pro and then a con and then a pro. We'll see. Pro number 1. The protagonist of this book wasn't who I thought it was at first, but holy fuck. The way that Patroclus wrote just completely captivates you within this story. We know Achilles from legend as this handsome, brave, prideful boy. And seeing that through the eyes of someone like Patroclus was a very smart move by Miller. Achilles is a very confident boy, but he shows his vulnerable side to Patroclus, which gives us a great dimension of his character. Everyone in this book also had clear motivations for what they do, which, as you can probably gather from like my previous reviews, is a very key thing for me when it comes to stories. Like, I need to be able to understand the motivations of why characters are doing the things they do. Like, to me, it just shows that the author has thought through this character, you know? That's just me. Though it isn't explicitly spelled out for some characters, just by thinking about their perspective, we understand them much more. Second pro. I'm a sucker for a good relationship, you know that. The relationship between Patroclus and Achilles, man. It's built so beautifully, and seeing their trepidation when they first start to develop romantic feelings for each other, it's just so... Spoilers! That first scene when they're in the cave, right, and Patroclus, like, all this time had been thinking that he fucked up making a move on Achilles on the beach, but then Achilles points out that no one else can see them in this cave, not even Chiron can see them. And... oh, it was so sweet. It was so sweet. Like all this time Patroclus thought he'd fucked up and that, you know, he wasn't liked back, and it was like... We're introduced to support characters too, such as Thetis, Odysseus, and Briseis. And though they could have been left to fall into the background, they do actually play an important part within the narrative. They have some significance within the story that means that they're needed to be there, and even when their part is done, they aren't just forgotten about. Third, pro. So the last thing I'll talk about is the writing. Well, at least the last thing for this pro. I don't know if the video's on the... To be able to turn a legend into a full novel with complete arcs and tie-ins is an incredible feat. I can understand why even to this day, The Song of Achilles is revered as one of the best modern novels of our time. The amount of research that must have been put into this and the amount of development that must have been taken, it's clear as day that this was a story that Miller really wanted to tell. So my 3 cons, pretty much most of these contain spoilers, so yeah. Don't watch this if you haven't read it. And just come back once you have read it and watch this bit. Cool. Spoiler warning! I would have liked a bit more about the relationship in the latter half. It was a bit unclear if people knew about their relationship, and if they did, how did they? Did anyone ever hear or catch them? Seeing as though everyone kind of gathered that they were lovers, it was kind of like, well, how did they understand that? We don't really get that many scenes of them as lovers when they're adults, especially in the military arc, which sometimes can make it feel as though their love was a bit more casual. Like, I was so confident that Patroclus was going to have some sort of bi-romance with Briseis, but then she didn't. So it was like, oh. But, oh, that scene where Briseis, like, proposed, basically, to Patroclus. Poor girl. Poor girl. Second con. We kind of get hints that Patroclus and Achilles are both bi, but then it's not really mentioned. And then there was that scene where Patroclus slept with the, what was her name? The girl who Achilles married. I can't remember her name. I forgot her name. But yeah, it was like, one, I didn't really understand why he slept with her. Like, apparently, you know, it kind of wrote that, oh, it was in sympathy, but I do feel like that scene was something where Miller didn't really know how to portray that without kind of impeding on Patroclus's love for Achilles. So she was just kind of like, oh, it's just sympathy. You're just doing it out of sympathy. Like, really? Like, I would have much preferred a bi romance with fucking Briseis, because that shit was cute. Con 3. I would have liked some sort of foreshadowing about the afterlife in Greek mythology. This point only makes sense if you've read the novel, but if you have, I'm pretty sure you were probably like, oh, this is a thing, when that happened. I'm happy that it was in there because, my god, the scenes with Thetis at the grave were just like, oof. But I think we needed more build up to that. I do understand it's hard when writing about another culture not to just basically let it become an exposition fest where you just explain every single aspect of a culture. So I can understand if that's why Miller didn't put it in. And maybe she just treated it as a, well, it's part of the culture, so we don't really need to explain it. Like, you know, you read a Western novel and no one's really explaining the cultures there. Like, say if there's a wedding scene, no one's explaining that because it's like, at the end of the day, you're kind of treating it as if that was just the usual, you know, you don't need to explain it. Does that make sense? If you haven't read The Song of Achilles, stop watching this video and add it to your read list right now. Are you doing it? Have you added it? Is it there? Have you ordered it? Is it on its way? I've always had a fascination with Greek gods and mythology, so for me, this was quite an exciting read. Words can't describe how it makes you feel, and yes, I did cry at the end. This is a great book for those of us who love period pieces where the romance isn't the only focus of the plot. It's intricate in its detail that you get completely swept away by the story. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Let me know if you've read The Song of Achilles, and let's chat about it, because it's really fucking good. Funnily enough, yeah, so I've only just recently read The Song of Achilles, but I have got Circe, which is Madeline Miller's other book. Is it the third or is it the second? I feel like it's the second book she released. Yeah, I think it's the second book she released. But yeah, I don't know, it caught my eye. And this one's really good too. I will admit it's not as good as The Song of Achilles, but I did really enjoy this one as well. So yeah, I think I gave this one 4 stars, I gave this one 5 stars. So Song of Achilles. I am confused though, because I could have sworn there was something about his heel. I thought that was the whole fucking point. Like, I thought, like, he got shot in the heel or something and, like, fell and died. Nothing about a heel. So what the fuck is the saying Achilles' heel about? What the fuck is that? What is that? I don't understand it. Like, this entire time, like, the entire time I was reading that book, I was like, ah, yes, he will get shot in the heel. No, he didn't. Didn't fucking get anything near his heel. Isn't it something like, because he was so fast that, I don't know. I don't fucking know. It was like people aim for his heel. I don't know. I'll need to read up on it and then let people know. Are we ready for story time with Wink Bloo? Achilles' room was as we had left it, except for the pallet, which had been removed in our absence. I was glad. It was an easy excuse in case anyone asked why we shared a bed. We reached for each other, and I thought of how many nights I had lain awake in this room, loving him in silence. Later, Achilles pressed close for a final, drowsy whisper. If you have to go, you know I will go with you. We slept. I have done a reading vlog for this. Haven't edited it yet, but I don't know whether it'll be out before or after this video. Probably after. So yeah, probably like my schedule is kind of like once every 2 weeks. So in a couple of weeks, that'll be out, and I'll link it as well. Please fucking read this now. I will be working on some fan art as well, which I'm excited about. I've got it in my head how I want it, and that'll be its own video because I've got the fucking song as well. I'm gonna do like the little speed draw in the song that I want because it will go really fucking well.